Hey, this is Christina Feliciano with my good friend Jay Henderlite. He is a board certified family law and partner at
Sasso, Guerrero, and Henderlite.
Thank you. Here in Jacksonville, Florida. And he's really, really interesting, and he's a wonderful family law attorney, so we're going to learn a lot today. So thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you being here.
Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So tell me a little bit of your background. Where were you born, raised? What made you decide to become an attorney and do family law?
Oh, so we're going all the way back. Okay, so I was born and raised in Salisbury, North Carolina, which is a small town between Charlotte and Greensboro. Anyone knows North Carolina geography? Not in the mountains, like everyone from Jacksonville assumes.
Is it by the beach?
It is not. It's the middle part of the state. No one in Florida knows about, but it's a big section. And I was there in the central part of North Carolina for college and law school. I went to Davidson College and Wake Forest for law school.
Oh, fancy.
And then I came here where I knew nobody, which is a smart career move, but it worked out eventually. My college roommate lived in Ponte Vedra, and so we used to come down during the summers and coach the Ponte Vedra Club swim team. When I graduated law school, there were no jobs anywhere, so I figured I'd just hang out on the beach until I found something.
Nice. So how long have you been an attorney here in town for?
Since 2011.
Okay. So you're board certified. What does that mean?
So board certification means I passed a very hard test and also was nominated by, or not nominated by, but approved by judges, peers, colleagues about my legal knowledge and ethical obligations and irritate anybody.
Okay.
But so board certification basically means you are an expert in your field, and there are only something like 7% of family law attorneys that are board certified. I think we have 12 in Duval County that are practicing attorneys. 3 of us are at Sasso, Guerrero, and Henderlite.
Oh,
so
wow.
Molly, Christy, and I, my 2 law partners, are also board certified. So we're the only firm actually now that has more than one board certified attorney.
So if you're getting divorced, we should see you.
Of course.
All right. So why did you choose divorce as a specialty?
Because it's uplifting. I don't know. So when I was in law school, I liked.
Ching.
I had a professor.
I saw you eat a Ponte Vedra.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know. Well, I still don't really know what corporate law is, or not entirely sure what any of that means. You know, when you're in law school, they tell you got to get a job at a big firm and work lots of hours and make lots of money. And I tried all of that, but I didn't really understand what any of those firms did. Still don't know. But I like getting to know people. I like figuring out, what makes people tick. And I don't know. I feel like I have a read, or I can kind of get a sense for what motivates my clients, or more importantly, sometimes the other side. And it's never boring. You get to hear all sorts of interesting facts.
So would you recommend getting married?
Sure. Marriage is great.
Do you think you should get a prenup?
Depends.
I don't know if it's true, but I saw something yesterday on social media that Soft White Underbelly interviews different people. He interviewed an attorney that said in his experience, he's seen a lot less people get divorced that had prenups. Is that your experience?
I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, certainly I have more people. Most of my cases are cases that don't have prenups.
Yeah.
If you have a prenup, it's almost always going to go to trial. Particularly if it skews in favor of one party or the other.
Okay.
Because, the party that's got no choice but to roll the dice and see if they can set it aside is going to do that. So it promotes more litigation. Now, prenups are hard to set aside. But it just, it depends. If you've got a lot of assets, if it's a later in life marriage and both parties are more established, well, then it makes sense. But if you're just starting out and you have no idea what life is going to bring,
how could you even do
you can get into a situation where, what does not appear to be unfair, which may not be unfair if both parties are just starting out and you're right out of college and you don't really have a whole lot of assets, can be grossly unfair to one party, and it's hard to predict.
So divorce is a really hard time emotionally for people, right? So, yes. And I've seen a couple of your reels and like maybe clips from the podcast that I found interesting. So when you meet someone that's highly emotional with divorce, first off, 2 questions. First, do you notice when there is like a separation or divorce, is it kind of like other things like death where there's kind of like stages? is my first question. And the second is, how do you try to help your clients get to like the healthy stage?
Sure. So I mean, we got this podcast and we call it Split Happens, pun. But, the purpose or what I'm trying to, educate people on is that 50% of marriages roughly end in divorce.
Yep.
So it's just a part of...
Good luck, Izzy. I'm joking. I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah, but it really is a part of life. Like all things, sometimes it just split happens, right?
Yeah.
And we make it, of course, this bigger... It's a big deal because it goes to the core of what motivates all as human beings. Our safety, security, financial security, all those things. Children are involved. The being able to see your children every day is suddenly on the table. It causes a lot of emotional strife, but it's also something that a lot of us are going to go through. And even if you don't get married, if you have children, the odds of staying in the relationship with your child's other parent aren't always that high. And it just means it's something you're going to have to figure out. But it doesn't have to be a bad thing. And that's what I try to get people to see. I mean, anytime you are forced to start over or forced to, kind of have a reckoning of who you are or, reassess what you want your life to look like, it's scary and we don't always want to do it. But when we do those things, I mean, when you do those things, you actually see a whole lot of opportunity that you didn't know existed. And so, I mean, big picture, that's what I try to show my clients. I realize when they come and meet with me, the first time they meet with me, I mean, whenever you schedule a consult with a divorce lawyer, you're going to pay $500 an hour to meet with somebody. It's because you're not having a great day, and I get that. But it's also the most emotional we're probably going to be during this whole process because, with time and acceptance, it's going to get better. But what the trap a lot of people fall into is they really want their lawyer to be the one to fight their battles, to really be the megaphone for their outrage.
Yeah.
And then there are lawyers that'll want to do that to, sell the client, and it just perpetuates this, it makes this temporary feeling of anger into this sort of permanent, call to arms that just never dies. And that's not good for anybody. I mean, being pissed off forever at somebody is just exhausting.
It is. And
if you've got kids with that person and you've got a co-parent with that person and you just don't have any mechanism to get past it or any skills to get past it, then it's just going to make your life harder. And I mean, life's hard enough. Don't make it harder on purpose. At least that's my opinion.
So are your clients receptive when you say this?
Well, I mean, I don't give them the don't make your life harder speech the first time we meet. Right. But I mean, what I do want to, and the other thing about it is you can want me to be your, outrage warrior. I get that. I mean, I'm not trying to minimize your feelings because I understand them. But if that's what I end up doing.
Are you like, when some people meet you, like, are some people like not aggressive enough?
The thing is, aggressive as a, lawyer tool. If you just want to like jump up and scream, this is old adage that's, a good lawyer knows the law, a great lawyer knows the judge.
Yeah. Do you know judges?
A bad lawyer just jumps up on the table and screams.
Do you know the judges?
Well, I mean, I do, but okay, know the judges in the sense of like how they rule and
I get it.
I mean, of course I know them all, but not like in some backhand, greasing palms on the golf course or whatever people think we do.
No, that doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen. But if you practice in front of different judges and you figure out what they want, that's what you need.
Like you understand temperament.
But like if you jump up and scream, but what sells me, I think, to my clients is that I know what I'm talking about. And I can share, this is how it's going to go. So you're going to be really mad now. By the time we get to a mediation in 4 months, theoretically, you're going to be less mad. And what you don't want to do is make permanent life decisions on a temporary period of anger. And so
that's really great advice.
And that's what and that's my experience because I see that. I mean, I see people who are able to kind of ride the wave and recognize that, every day it's going to get a little bit better. And, it's a sort of trick of the mind that how you're feeling on any particular day, particularly if you're upset about something.
Yeah.
You think I'm always going to feel that way and it's never getting better, but that's
Not
not
true.
true. I mean, you do. It gets better, and sometimes it gets better quickly. And so I really try to do two things. One, just relate or share my experience that, I get how you're feeling. Your feelings are certainly valid, but it's not always going to be that way. And you just don't want to make these sort of permanent, life-altering decisions when you're in a heightened emotional state, because none of us can think through it. And then the other thing is, your goal needs to be, how can you use this as the opportunity to figure out what the next stage of your life is going to look like and how to make it everything you want it to be.
So do you ever tell women to get a job?
Yeah, I do. I do, because you shouldn't be financially dependent on someone.
I agree. No, I'm
And
just asking.
it's not just women.
Or men.
It's not just women. Look,
Yeah.
I mean, alimony is great
Mm-hmm.
as a concept,
Yeah.
but you're still emotionally tied to somebody. Or not emotionally tied, you're financially tied to somebody,
Yeah.
which also somewhat emotionally entangles you. And, people, you just never know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot pay, and then you got to chase them down, or they can drop dead of a heart attack. I mean, those are all still
No, I know.
real
Yeah.
possibilities. And so it is helpful for all of us to have independence. It doesn't have to be total independence. And yeah, there are absolutely couples where alimony is necessary. And anytime alimony is on the table, of course I'm going to fight for it. But it doesn't mean I'm also not going to say,
Get a job.
I mean, not get a job necessarily, but have a purpose. Figure out what your goals are. And sometimes people have to raise children, and they have to delay getting, to the place where they can sort of have the career they want. But, I want people to plan for that. And I did this in one of our podcast episodes. I don't think it's launched yet, but when it comes to alimony, people that are asked to pay always think that the payees are going to be sitting around poolside, drinking mojitos or whatever people drink poolside, and not doing anything. And usually, what's happening is they're going to be stressed about money, and they're raising children, and there's a lot of uncertainty about where their security is going to come from. And the people that need alimony think that the payors are just like Scrooge McDuck, in this vat of gold coins just swimming around, unwilling to share it. And that's sometimes true, but rarely is actually true. But it just creates that kind of dynamic where neither side trusts the other and ascribes the worst motive, and it's tough. So it's not get a job because you're lazy. I mean, I would never say that, because it's not true. But you always want, I think, at least in my own personal life, the more independent you can be, or the more that you can control what your future looks like, just the happier you're going to be.
Yeah.
Because depending on other people is usually going to lead to disappointment at some point.
That's that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Just from personal experience.
No, but right?
I mean,
I get it. I watch your podcast, but I also understand, I mean, just kind of in general.
Also too, and I don't talk about too much personal, but I also think there's like a perception of like financially how things were that weren't that way. So that was like another hard. It was hard on a lot of levels.
Well, we're all sold on this idea.
Like I still remember after he, had passed, like someone went to the funeral. It's like, oh, you're married to an attorney, so and first off we were legally divorced. Second off, like it was not how people, thought.
Well, no, it's this idea. We're sold this idea that marriage, that once you date and you find the one and then you say I do, that's happily ever after, and there's no hardship after that. Yeah. It's all just, presented to you on a silver platter. And I have yet to hear somebody who's actually had that experience. Yeah. There's hardship and there's financial up and downs, and you get dynamics where one party raises the children and the other one handles the finances, and sometimes they do a good job with it, sometimes they don't. And it's not just traditional gender roles anymore. I mean, we see a lot of men being primary caregivers of children. Women are the ones that are earning a lot of or being the primary breadwinners, and but the dynamics can be similar. And if you think about it, when people are in an intact marriage, a lot of times one party's primarily saving for retirement, the other is handling a lot of the day-to-day household responsibilities. And so when it all falls apart, it can, leave somebody in kind of a disadvantageous position. And, that's why we have marriage. That's why we have the marriage contract.
Yeah. Well, so in your experience, two questions. Well, maybe you don't really meet that much besides outside personally. How do you think people are stay in happy marriages? Number one. And then actually answer that one first.
So, I mean,
what do you think the key is to a happy
the
marriage?
secret to happy marriage is bad
You're
for
a happy marriage.
It's
so
bad for my business, so I don't know if I want to talk about it. I'm kidding.
So what makes you be in a happy marriage? Or it appears that you are in a happy marriage.
Yeah, we're in a happy marriage most days, I think. Right, Christopher?
Yes.
So, I mean, relationships are tough in the sense that you've got two people that are just growing and changing, because we all are, and sometimes it's at different rates, and we have hardships of different kind of life events that happen, and so it's one, you have to make a commitment, I think, every day that being in the relationship is better than not being in the relationship. And then the other thing is being right is not all that it's cracked up to be. I talk about in one of my social media posts at SGH Law, check it out. The difference between a fight and an argument. An argument is what we do in court, which is you have two sides that are articulating their respective positions to a neutral third party who can then decide who's right. That actually has a resolution. There's a purpose to it. A fight is just two people that just go back and forth trying to convince the other they're an asshole, and that just doesn't get you anywhere. And you're not going to do it. And so often what you see are people who are so motivated to prove that they're right that they're willing to burn everything down, and that gets exhausting after a while. And so the number one thing that I learned from my day job, hearing people do that day in, day out, is I go home and I'm like, whatever you want. It's not, there are certain things that we have to hammer out, and if we can't resolve it, then we know, all right, let's find somebody who can help resolve it for us. But otherwise, I'm not going to sit around and try to convince my husband that he's wrong, because that doesn't get me anything.
Yeah. I heard something recently that I thought was pretty cool, that was like someone that worked together. They were husband and wife, but they worked together too. So they have like multiple, like it's not just household, but that sometimes when it starts to get contentious, they're like, same team. And they're like, exactly. Oh, that's right, same team. So like just a reminder when it starts to get the same team. Okay, yeah, right. And we're on the same team, because work and life, like same team.
But then also, one thing we've learned is we both need our own space, because we're both introverts. And so we need to recharge our batteries. And when you're kind of in a young relationship, you think, well, if we're not together, then it means things are bad. And maybe that's true early on, but now, no. Love him, love to be together, but also, I need my alone time, and I know he does too, and there's something wrong with that.
That's funny, because I wouldn't have thought of him. Is he like an extroverted introvert like me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So, without, I obviously can't tell specifics, but what was the most challenging case that you had?
Well, they're all difficult for different reasons,
What was your biggest asshole?
Most of the time, they're difficult for reasons that are only, fun for lawyers, and not really. But the case I'm most proud of, and probably will always be, is one where the father was physically abusing the children as a way to get back at the moms, to kind of force them. Yeah. But it's really hard to prove. And I got hired, less than, I think, 4 months before the trial, and somehow managed to find a way to pull back the curtain. And so, the children got placed with mom, and we ended up getting a really good result. But it was just complicated and challenging, because it's just so hard to prove. Yeah. Because it's all happening behind closed doors, and there's no real evidence of it, and the children are too scared to say anything, so can't prove it that way. But it's a lot of that sort of, you have to have experience, you have to understand sort of psychology, and have at least enough working knowledge to find the right expert, ask the right questions, and present it in the right type of way. And not everybody can do that, or I think you have to have a good sense of people. Yeah.
Do you think that most people that get divorced should get divorced? Or do you think that people do it kind of prematurely? I know you're in the business, so you're not going to say.
It's an individual question. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think if you are in a place where you're calling divorce lawyers, and
I would think by the time you call it, usually you want it. Yeah.
I can't imagine there's ever a situation where it's too quickly. And it also depends on, who you're trying to convince.
Well, see, I feel like mine was too quickly. Because we were like arguing, he's like, and he was an attorney. He's like, "We'll get divorced." I'm like, "Cool, do it." And then I like don't think I was. I don't even know. I didn't even go to the court. Like I don't really know what was going on.
I mean, that's what I mean. It's who you're trying to convince.
Like I don't.
Are you trying to prove a point to the other person? And,
I was like, I remember getting called. He's like, "I left court. We're divorced." I'm like, "Cool." Yeah. Like I was not involved, and yeah. I don't. Nobody spoke to.
So did you get divorced too quickly? Probably, if you're doing it to call a bluff. But if
and then a month after the divorce, I get pregnant. But that's
well. So clearly, the relationship was not irretrievably broken. But that's on you. But I don't.
Love was called.
Love was called. But it's like it's not my job to. Yeah. And I'm an overpaid, underqualified therapist, so you don't need me to be your therapist.
I feel like I do. That's why I'm trying to actually ask you these questions. I'm trying to get mentally healthier.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, absolutely.
So that's what I'm actually asking you these questions for. Is doing some more about mental health, like the best mental health and the worst mental health of clients.
And at the end of the day, I think what we're all trying to do is figure out who we are and who we are supposed to be, right? And when we're not in that place, when we're making decisions that are based on fear or based on self and are coming from a place of not knowing who we are at our core, then you're, I think, always at risk of making, impulsive decisions or doing things too quickly. But, at the same time, just because there were lots of times you can make the right choice for the wrong reason, the whole blind squirrel gets a nut thing. And we're all just really trying to figure it out as we go along. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, it always seemed like everybody else was figuring it out. Like there was some handbook to life I didn't have. Yeah. And, as I got older and I went through some stuff and I was able to look back, and it wasn't that there was some handbook I missed. It's that we're all just trying to figure it out.
Have you ever had a client that you refused?
Refused?
If they had the money.
I mean, I don't know if refuse is the right word, but
because I've had patients I've kind of nicely refused because I'm just I don't their expectations of what I can do for them has been, not realistic. So I've been I don't think.
Right. I mean, any kind of professional relationship is based on trust and at least having some compatibility. And so, I mean, there are people that I think probably haven't hired me because they didn't like that I was saying I'm not going to be the megaphone for your outrage, and we were not going to be a good fit. And I get it, but you don't want to pay me a lot of money to constantly be arguing with me.
Have you ever had the opposite happen where someone comes in that, from your opinion, is being too passive? I just want to be super nice. I want everything. Yep, where you're absolutely. Actually, you deserve more.
Yes, that happens too.
Okay.
Because some people just get so fatigued they just want to be done, and they aren't thinking big picture or long term.
So, what other specialties does your law firm do besides divorce?
Well, we do.
I know it's family law, but what is that? Right, educate me, please.
So primarily, it's any kind of contested family law matter. So it's either divorce or custody. It's the big two, some form of fashion. We do adoption. We don't do placement adoption, so we're not an agency. Just because that takes a lot of work. But second parent adoption, sub-parent adoption, adult adoption, we do all those things. We do guardianships. There are not a lot of grandparent rights in Florida, but the limited grandparent rights that exist, we handle those cases. Where it's not even grandparent rights, but it's any kind of extended family custody.
And then, what's the difference?
Oh, and we just started a criminal practice.
Oh.
Criminal practice.
Is it domestic?
No, I mean any kind
any
of... Any
criminal?
We hired a lawyer who had a criminal background, and so... she's not going to take on capital murder cases, but she will handle any kind of, felony, misdemeanor, property crime, that kind of thing.
And then will your family case do DCF cases or not? Because that's different.
I don't personally do dependency cases, which are the DCF cases, primarily because we adopted our son and he was in foster care, and so that for me is too close to home. We do have lawyers in our practice that will do them, just not me.
No, you're only because when I was going through it, it was just like a very specific. It's like family law, but it's another like branch. So
right.
I wish I had a little bit better.
It does not fit into the traditional family law.
And I think that was part of it when I first started. The attorneys I hired were like not really dependents. Like they were some private attorneys that didn't know too much dependency law, and that was, I think, probably my behavior and them like all together. When you get held contempt of court, like probably is not the.
Well, maybe they didn't give you the right speech. When you see family law generally means, or most people mean, divorce or custody. And when I say custody, it's paternity cases or post judgment, or there's not a marriage involved, but we're still talking about time sharing with children.
Okay, so how do you stay objective, or do you not really stay objective? You tell them what you think.
Staying objective. I have to, it's hard. I was actually having coffee with a friend of mine earlier. Just, to stay in the right headspace to do this type of work, you have to, constantly be doing things to kind of keep you mentally centered. Because whenever people are sharing their fears with you, or, helping or trusting you to help them navigate the, sort of hardest or one of the hardest seasons of their life, it can be really emotionally taxing because you want to take on and you want to solve it right now, but we don't have instant gratification largely in family court. So you have to do a lot of self-care in terms of you have to keep sort of a prayer life and a spiritual practice, so I don't get too in the weeds. And then also I have to have hard stops. I can't constantly be on my email. I can't constantly be communicate with my clients. Not that I don't want to, in the sense that I don't care, but if I don't have time where I'm doing other things,
like the oxygen mask on yourself,
right? If I don't do that, then it can cause me to get fatigued or burn out, and then I'm no good to anybody.
So you prioritize spiritual life, prayer, downtime. Do you work out?
Generally, except I haven't probably in the last month. I had a skin cancer cut off the back of my heel, which meant I couldn't really
It's the cancer excuse.
I couldn't really flex it, and then it was a holiday, and then I'm about to go on vacation, so maybe in August. I need to.
No, because
I like it. It's just I've always had the thing where when I do it, I enjoy it.
Do you like yoga?
Yeah.
You and Katie don't like it. I love it. I'm surprised. I understand why Katie doesn't like it. I'm surprised you don't.
I don't have a body that flexes in any of those ways.
But I just thought the mindfulness part of it.
I like mindfulness, but I don't need to get all twisted up to have mindfulness. I have less physically demanding mindfulness practices.
All right, well.
It's great. I support you. I wish I was built that way. I just am not.
Oh my goodness. So, because since I've known you, you've always come across as being pretty mentally healthy.
I try, but it's not. I'm not zen because of I was born this way.
I think your temperament's calm though, isn't it?
It's calm because it's like going through stuff.
Yeah.
It's life experience. I've had to go through recovery.
Yeah, I didn't know if we could talk about that.
Oh, sure, I'm okay.
All right, so we're both in recovery.
Yeah.
Gang. So how long have you been in recovery for?
It'll be 15 years in October.
Have you had
15 years consistently since October. There are a couple of years before where I was in and out in law school, but it's 15 years without nights, weekends, no slips.
Yeah, and are you in the program or no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so.
Been working a program that I won't name because
No.
This is press, radio, or film.
Right now, I get it. So I'm just.
But yeah, no, it's working at a recovery program, which gives you, I think, at least gave me a foundation for spiritual life and mindfulness practice.
There's something about recovery that, I get almost emotional because the sickness of addiction and what it leads to, which is families falling apart or children or death, prison. is really, really, horrible. But there's like a beautiful side and healthy that can come out of it. Almost, I think, more than like if you hadn't experienced that. At least for me.
Right. Yeah,
So.
same. But it's so much of, I think, life, or what we learn as we get older is how do we, overcome challenges, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we go through things that can seem impossible, and come out the other side stronger, not bitter,
Mm-hmm.
not just
Resentful.
angry all the time, but
Yeah.
just, how do we learn what we're supposed to and move on to the next one? And, I think some people are able to do that sort of on their own,
Mm-hmm.
and some people need to be beat over the head and shown the way, and that's how I'm gonna work. So I mean, I'm grateful for it because otherwise, I think I'd still just be trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, what I like is trying not to hold on to resentments. That to me was my biggest issue is being constantly angry all the time, and it's just too exhausting. I don't have time for that.
No.
I mean,
I
if I was angry all the time, I had to get more Botox from you.
So that'd be good for me.
It would be good for you, I guess, but not good for my wallet.
No, but I'm happy that you're like open about that because I think for me, like it's really like important. And I also think with so many of like just even my clients or people that I know in my life that I think that people underestimate how much maybe drugs or alcohol is adversely affecting them.
Right.
Not that it's my job, but I can tell like there's something it can be pretty detrimental. And I've not really met anyone that's I feel like been in recovery like 10 plus years that isn't pretty mentally soundish mind.
Do you remember being young, like, probably Izzy's age, but now, yeah, I remember being 18, 20, right out of
That's Izzy's
college,
age.
yeah. And I was like, I know, like, life is so easy. Like, I am here, I have arrived, it is all just going to go my way. The red carpet's going to get rolled out. And it turned out that just the mere fact of me reaching the age where I thought I was entitled to stuff, was not really sufficient to, to get it. And, no one was just offering me jobs because I was there, as it turned out, or, throwing six-figure salaries because I was a nice guy. I had to, learn how to be the type of person that, people wanted to hire, to be the type of lawyer that, was both respected, but also, knowledgeable and skilled enough to, get results for my clients that were, what other people couldn't do. And the only way I really was able to do that was like what I was talking about earlier. It's like figuring out who I was, what made me tick, and I got that from recovery. I used to joke, who would ask me my favorite colors? I don't know. What would you want it to be? That's kind of how my mind thought. I was so focused on how, I thought I should be perceived that I forgot to figure out,
That's interesting.
who I actually was. Yeah, realistic. My favorite color right now is green. If you're curious,
Yes.
if you go look at our, social media or our, website, I'm in a green suit and our logos are, blue, red, and green. It's our three favorite colors from three partners. But
That's cool.
yeah, it's just stuff is hard, and life is not meant to be easy.
How much of it for you? I'll say for myself, and then you can tell me if you agree or. So I think for myself, not just recovery, but having a greater purpose. And I know you have a son. Of my purpose on earth isn't just about me. It's about helping my family, my children. Number one. Second, it's truly I feel helping my patients. Third, moving on to helping my employees. Fourth, helping friends. I don't know all the same, but just I feel a sense of responsibility that my calling here is not just for myself, and it's I have this responsibility to these other people, and for myself, I like pleasure a lot. Like hedonism is wonderful. So I love pleasure, but that has caused me a lot of problems in my life. So I truly view even now like with mental health like I would definitely if I could do some drugs and drink I would feel better like I'd feel happier but then the people that I really love and care about I would end up doing really detrimental things to hurt them and I would not be able to take care of my patients I would not be able to afford Izzy and I would not be able to build this empire that I'm trying to for my children. So for me, it's like also a living sacrifice that I make, the staying in recovery, because I am still even now tempted and I would like to be feeling better. Like I was talking to friends even July 4th, like everyone's drinking and I don't get tempted that frequently, but it's like it'd be funner, but I know like I play the book and it's gonna
Yeah, it's never gonna end up well.
Yeah, it's never gonna end up well.
Unless you want another mugshot or something. I mean, it's not gonna turn out well. I don't.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, probably a decade or more, since I've been tempted by any kind of substance. But I still do the thing where I'm like, okay, if I can achieve, if I can earn this amount of money, or if I buy whatever car, or buy, whatever thing, that's gonna make me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it used to be working toward that thing was kind of what I would substitute for my higher power purpose. And then, it's a false thing and you don't get it and you feel bad about yourself. Or what I've learned too is you get it and then you still feel empty and you're like, well, now what, right? And so you gotta, you're right though, having a purpose, like that's, I think, why we're here. I mean, we all have a purpose. Whether it's parenting, whether it's our job, it could be all sorts of things, generating, creating a business for community that's going to, fill a need. I mean, we all have something. And it's all part, I think, of the process of living, which is, figuring out who you are, figuring out who you're put on this earth to be. Mm-hmm. And, I don't think we're ever going to achieve it 100%. Yeah. Because if we did, then we'd have no reason to keep going. I think the goal is to keep, striving. You just keep growing, because otherwise you're just sitting around and like
I wish, like, because I still am tempted. I don't know, I think it's like two things. I think it's like, because I was a Christian, like Paul talks about in scripture how he has like the thorn in his side that he asked for removal, and that God is like, I'm not going to remove it, so it'll be my great power. So I sometimes think that maybe I'll have this thorn until I'm like old and gray, so I'm always like staying humble and cognizant. And the other thing too is, I think when I lost everything, I was like, drugs and alcohol are the devil. But then like when I got it, I'm still getting everything back. I'm like, maybe it wasn't the drugs and alcohol. Maybe that wasn't the causation.
Like the devil, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, that might have not. I might have connected the dots incorrectly. I'm pretty sure it was connected correctly.
Probably yes. Yeah. I mean, you seem to be doing well.
Yes.
Without the drugs or alcohol, so I'd probably keep it. Yes. But no, I get it. But it's the same thing. Coming back to what we talked at the beginning about what people are going through when they're in any sort of upheaval, and that's why I think people stay in marriages too. Sometimes is they're just afraid of what else is out there. It's sort of a comfortable discomfort. It's not, you're being held back. You feel like you're not where you're supposed to be, but the act of moving forward, trying to take the next step is just scary, and so it holds people back. But it's human condition.
But just do it. Get divorced. It'll get better. Right?
I mean, it takes work. It's not going to be like a kick him to the curb, it's all done, or kick her to the curb, it's all done. But I mean, like, it's that sort of feeling where you're not where you're supposed to be. Like, I think we all have sort of hardwired, signals that our minds or our bodies send us that are trying to key us in that there's something more that we should be doing. But it's also really easy to push those down or drink them down, suppress them, because it's the unknown. We don't like, human beings do not like the unknown.
That's true. Don't. And actually there's we had another guy on the podcast that does some stuff with like quantum, it's like neuroscience with brain and behavioral changes, and said part of it too is that the brain, we can't predict the future, so we try to predict the future, and the only way we can try to predict the future, like from a neurological standpoint, is to go back to old things that have happened in the past. Right. Which is, so it's like you want to, so that's why it's difficult to make changes, or because of the fear of the unknown.
Or, I catastrophize everything. That's how my brain works.
So does mine. And then it actually happened. People are like, go through the worst things, and it never happens. In my life, it did.
So, well, I usually say.
And I survived. So even if you catastrophize,
right,
and it happens.
well, the odds of that happening to get her that high. So I mean, I guess you've covered all the real bad stuff. But usually,
losing my husband, losing my children, losing my livelihood,
yeah, you
losing
did
my
go through
money,
some shit, didn't you? I mean, that's a lot.
losing my professional reputation, losing my friends, losing my family.
That just means you're building back better.
Better.
So much better.
Thanks for coming back, guys. Christina 2.0.
Karmically, you've earned, some really good
Although
stuff.
I hung out with all these people that have known me for like 20 years, you're like still kind of the same Christina. Just a little more filter.
Work in progress. Yeah. I mean, what do you want?
Oh, so if someone's watching this,
and they're still like, what is this even about? But yes, continue.
Yeah. This will get watched in like a year or two if it takes off, and people go back to the old episodes.
You're like, that was amazing, hidden gem.
Yes.
Anyway.
It's gonna be like where it began, where it ended up.
Where it began, that's what we're going for.
No, but for real, if somebody has made it this far and still watching, which is probably only people that are close friends and family. Well, but if they're anyone in an inner circle is thinking about getting divorced, or like thinking they're in a hard time,
yeah,
what would you advise? Like just to do it? Go to church? What is your advice for? Truly, I'm not.
Yeah, my advice is get some information, because information is power. Because the catastrophizing doesn't get you anything. So if it's all right, well, if I get divorced, it's going to be horrible, or it's going to be, I'll be societally shunned. I think people still think that way. I don't know. If anything you feel like you're not able to move because no matter what move you make is wrong, well, that just means you're missing something. You're missing some piece of information, some advice, something. And so, if you feel stuck, the first thing I would say to do is figure out what's going to make you unstuck.
Okay.
And I think writing down your feelings, at least, that's advice I give people a lot, is, write down where you want to be tomorrow, in a week, in a month, in a year.
That's really good advice.
Because it gives you something practical, something tangible to help kind of move from a stuck place. If you've got sort of action steps you can take, then it helps you move forward. And so, yeah, it's not a go see a divorce lawyer, get a divorce. It's not a...
But at least call them and get some advice and find out more, right?
Get some information, see what it's going to look like. If you've got...
Someone could call you, and doesn't mean that you're committing to a divorce.
Right. Of course not. Nothing's going to happen unless you want it to happen, except apparently in your case, but...
Do it. Dare you to.
Don't get divorced on a dare, or you don't call a bluff, but otherwise...
I was like, if that's how it's going to go.
Have a little more agency in your life.
Well, I did. I said, as long as I can keep the house.
Well, there you go. Yeah, maybe run some numbers, make sure it's a good idea. But yeah, I mean, information is power always. And if you've got concerns about whatever it is, you need to talk to I think talking to a therapist or somebody that can help give you perspective. Because usually what happens is we look at things from only one point of view. Mm-hmm. But most things in life, particularly big things, they're different perspectives. And so somebody that can help you see all sides. Not that your perspective is wrong necessarily, but if you're looking at something just through the lens of being hurt or being upset or whatever, it can make it hard.
I think it's important to also, when you're seeking advice, in my opinion, is to go to experts. So for example, like we were talking about the clients that asked me for legal advice that was wrong. Like, don't come to me for legal advice. Come to me for medical advice, but come to Jay for legal advice. And then I do like the thing with a therapist. So I know for myself, I don't know if you're currently in therapy, but the therapist for myself has really made a difference and been a good sounding board. And just, I have a lot of ideas and a lot of thoughts that I think impulsive thoughts is what it is, and just like always, and it's really good that I have somebody that I can go to with these thoughts and be like, you know what?
Absolutely.
That's not a good idea, Christina.
Right, because sometimes our minds can be scary places.
Yeah.
And a lot of times if you just say something out loud, it takes its power away.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to find the right place to say that.
No, for sure.
Right? Maybe if you've gone on your podcast and said all of your inner thoughts, it would get you lots of followers, but that might not be the most appropriate.
Exactly, it would. That's where people, like, we were talking, I was with some, close people this weekend. I'm like, I know how I could get a lot of views, but that's not the best way to do it.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
I had a big crash. Like, that's how I have so many Facebook followers.
Uh-huh.
I had like 8,000. It's because I had like a big crash out on social media in 2018. Where I was like, I wasn't going live, but it was like live time, just posting and like posting like legal documents. I'm talking about like posting a lot of stuff.
Right. Don't do that.
Yeah, well, because I was.
I'm not giving legal advice, but that is a terrible idea.
But my attorney said it was okay because what's it called when you represent yourself?
Huh?
Yeah. So the wild thing is, as much as like they were saying I was crazy, they still allowed me to self-represent. So anyway, I thought this was.
Well, it means you weren't incompetent. It doesn't mean you weren't crazy. And crazy is the wrong word, but it does not seem like you are making the best, most objective decisions for your life. And had you had somebody to talk to and say, should I do this? Just because you can.
Yeah, so I shouldn't have. But anyway, so at the time, my counsel, which was me, thought that we should get, the public involved in our personal matters and post it all on social media. And it got me a ton of followers. Mm-hmm. And then when I sat incarcerated for 18 months, because I also wanted everyone to know my business and make sure that it was on public view.
Of course.
So it sat there for 18 months with like commentaries of like, this crazy bitch. She's going to go to prison, like all these things. But fortunately, I was able to take that down. But the positive thing, and look at God, is because of those followers, they stayed on. And then, people do, like I told Izzy earlier, I think people like to bet on the winning horse. So when things started to turn.
Well, people love a comeback story.
Yeah. So it was been cool. So they're like, nice to see you get back up. So what about you? What is the thing you're most proud of?
Most proud of, I think my family more than anything else. My husband and my son. Just largely because that's not something that we could have had more than 10 years ago. So I got a husband before 2015, and then having it's not abnormal anymore. I don't think it's not like I've got a son who's going to school and suddenly having two dads is an odd thing. It's not there. Others are a bunch of them, but it's not so unusual. And just a lot of what I like to do is sort of live in the world as I'd like it to be. So, not trying to be someone who, in my perfect world, it doesn't matter. Having two dads is not a thing, and I think we've really kind of normalized that for our son. And he's doing great. He's had a lot of challenges he's had to overcome, and it's not easy when you are an adolescent to overcome stuff because that is not the age where your mind is going to be emotionally mature because it's not supposed to be. And so but he's really worked hard and done well. So that is probably what I'm most proud of.
Yeah, I've heard something where they say like parents, like part of their job is to be like a teenager, like their like frontal lobe. Yeah. Because it's not developed till like 25, so like they don't have it, but that's your responsibility as parents is to try to be your teenager's frontal lobe.
And it's hard because almost goes against how you're trained to behave in society. There's certain rules that I think we're all expected to follow, and we expect other people to follow, and what nobody says is, except for teenagers, they don't follow any of those rules. They do all of the things that you're not supposed to do. Yeah. They yell, they scream, they, call you names, and it's what they're supposed to do. That's developmentally appropriate for an adolescent, and but it's kind of emotionally scarring sometimes. You're like, ouch, they cut deep. Why I do all this work to try to get past it, and then how is it that you can see like my emotional vulnerability and just plunge it and I'm supposed to be okay with it. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
It just is. But somehow
But it's
manage
probably, I
through.
don't know, but it might be better like taking it out on you.
Well, yeah,
'Cause
that's
I
what
was
you're
like
supposed to
pretty
do.
respectful, but I was doing a lot of things on the side that was pretty detrimental.
But it's great. I mean, you hear all these other adults that are like, "Oh, Balin, he is so adjusted.
Yeah.
He's so polite." I'm like, "Who is?"
No, I think that's like, but I think that that's something like he probably feels like safe with you.
No, but again, that's exactly how
Because you like,
it's
we like
supposed to be.
exactly. Because
you know, when you adopt an 8-year-old, an attachment is certainly not a guarantee, and so, you know, the fact that that's where we are is really huge.
Oh, that's good.
But it hurts sometimes. But you know, it's life. It's like all things. So much of what happens, I feel like to me on a daily basis is unexpected. Nobody prepared me for.
Yeah, that's true.
And so having like the tools to get through it is.
You're so kind too. You really are.
Well, if you can't laugh at it, I mean, if you can't just see it for what it is, then it just becomes kind of insurmountable.
Yeah. So, do you think about like legacy at all? Do you live like that, where you think about legacy? And if you do think about legacy, what you want to leave for your family, son, community, law firm?
You know, I hadn't for a long time because I didn't
Want to die?
Well, but there was a part of my life where it didn't feel like I would be able to accomplish anything, so I didn't think it would be a possibility. And then I spent the next sort of phase of my life, you know, just trying to kind of get to where I felt like, you know, maybe I've got some shot at making a contribution. And I don't know if I'm there yet or not.
I think you are.
But in terms of what I want to do, I mean, it's just, you know, I'd like to have a kid who's reaches
adjusted,
adulthood, you know, with at least the tools to kind of get through tribulations in life. You know, I want him to be able to be successful on his own. It's what I tell him, and what Chris and I both tell him is, you know, our dream for you is that you have the ability to make the choices for your life, for yourself. That we don't want, you know, institutions. We don't want, you know, we don't want your behavior to put limitations on your choices. We don't want there to be, you know, legal restrictions on your choices. We want you to make whatever choice you want, because that really is, I think, what we dream about for our kids. And, you know,
and it is stressful too, because we were talking about James Coleman and I last week. We're talking about how like the choices you often make in like your teens and early 20s can really follow you throughout life, more than, you know, at such a young age when you're not really aware and your frontal lobe isn't developed, and these choices that you make
too, I think. And
I think so too.
Social media is so, I think, a difficulty, and I don't know if our generation really appreciates how hard it is for the next generation, because look, if we had a record of all the stupid stuff we did,
thank God we didn't.
It'd be horrible. You know? I think it'd be horrible. I don't remember a lot of it.
I'm like...
but I mean, I'm pretty sure I wasn't like, you know,
no.
all about love, but I was in my early 20s, because, you know, I just was figuring stuff out. And so...
And then what would you tell your younger self? What would be advice that you tell your younger self?
God, it gets better. Like, seriously. Because my younger self was so you know, constantly in a foxhole, I think. Just constantly worried about the next bad thing that was going to happen. And I really thought that was sort of how you got through life. And I'm really happy that I have learned that it's not this.
Oh, that's good.
You know, stuff happens. Good things happen, bad things happen. I mean, but it's just how you respond to it that I think kind of gives you that serenity, you know, that peace of mind that really we're all ultimately after.
Do you have like a 5-year vision? I didn't talk about legacy, but 5-year
Yes,
manifestation.
I'd like to be retired. No, 5 years. I mean, we've started a law firm that we're really proud of. It's, you know, we have 3 board certified partners. We've got 9 lawyers. We'd like to grow that. You know, because we're trying to create a firm that doesn't really exist, at least in this part of the state, which is one where, you know,
take care of all your needs. Like
right. When our reputation is
your custody, your crimes.
Yeah, it's our reputation is we do it better. You know, we have the knowledge, we have the experience, we have the skills. You know, we really try, and we've done a good. All of our lawyers
it's super impressive.
Are really
you have a really good reputation
at
in
what
town.
they do, but we also want it to be, you know, large enough where the people that work for us want to stay, because we want it to be a place for all of our people can be successful and achieve their dreams, because that, you know, practicing family law is hard, and to the extent we can make it easier, or at least make it more financially rewarding, it's something like to do that.
Yeah, that probably helps them. Financial rewarding and time with family.
Yes.
That's what Izzy says. She says, if you pay me and let me spend time with family, I will stay with you forever.
Yes.
Look,
Right.
I will be loyal forever.
Well, so much of what I learned in law school is basically being a lawyer is hard. You have to work really hard, and can't ever make a mistake. And that, that to me is not. That doesn't seem like a rewarding thing to do.
Yeah.
And lawyers do good work for people, but they also need to say how they do good work for people, and it's good to have balance. So, that's what I want to create.
No, I love that. I feel like I'm just always, even when you come in the office, like I'm always like, I wish you could be more like Jay.
It's just zen.
Yeah, and then like you're super.
Give up yoga. That's how you got it.
I'm getting teacher certified, and I'm gonna try selling it, Jay. So please
stop working out so much. You're doing it wrong.
Cut. We're gonna have to cut that part. No, I think you're just blessed with a better temperament than me.
I don't know.
I've never been calm like you.
It's funny because I never thought of myself as calm, and I used to have really bad road rage. I had to give it up for Lent about 12 years ago.
Did it work? Did it stay?
It did. Mostly.
Oh.
Driving slowly in the left lane will irritate me, and then when people stop for yellow lights, they don't need to stop for. Come on, seriously. Anyway. We all have our triggers, I think.
That's the thing about I do testosterone, but that's if you got to be careful.
Cause you rage out.
Well, if you already predispositioned to it, it's not gonna make someone that has naturally calm. But if you're already irritable, I had one patient that had had gotten a pretty high dose, and he asked. We had to basically check his levels, and we had to go down because it was the road rage was it was a
I will get fiery. I get fiery in court when people are lying to me, and I get really fiery when people lie to me badly. Because, look, if you are going to lie, it insults my intelligence if you just do it so poorly that you think I'm not going to catch you. Pisses me off. If you're going to at least be dishonest, put some work, make me work for it. Make me earn my limit, because if you are just so plainly dishonest, so plainly lying, it's irritating.
Is this usually your clients lying to you?
No, it's the other side. It's usually you depose,
cross-examination.
Cross people, depose people, or where does money go?
I would say,
of course come on now. And good lawyers.
I think that's what the good lawyers actually tell you to say. I don't remember.
But look, usually if I'm asking you questions because I already know the answer, so don't be an idiot.
Yeah.
It's just irritating. That gets me fired up. And people that can't get to the point.
Oh.
Very frustrating.
Oh, one of our friends that says long, or what does she say? Long story longer or something.
Yeah. Bring it home.
Yeah. All right, and the final question is, what is a quote that you live by?
Oh God.
Or what's a quote you recommend for me? Because I'm narcissistic and I want to use this time to learn more.
The quote. All right, I'm trying to think if I've got a self-indulgent quote I can use. If you go to my social media, I have lots of one-liners that I've turned into full-on social posts.
I love that. Well, a quote that you live by, or a quote that you could advise me to live by. Either one.
So, all right, what's my? I should have studied and come up with it before I got here, but so mantra I live by, more than anything else. This is acronym. Keep it KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Which, used to irritate me when I first heard it, but I think a lot of what causes me to get riled up, to get irritated, to get, in that state of mind where I just feel generally discontent or malcontent. It's when I'm trying to, overcomplicate things, or I'm trying to be the solution to all of my problems. And it just,
Not.
I can't be, because there's so much more going on. I can't control how other people are going to behave. I can't control whether or not the car in front of me is going to go through the yellow light or stop, and then we sit there for 5 seconds before I can't control that. What I can control is whether or not I let it affect my day. And so, this sort of idea of keep it simple. It's, well, what action can I do right now to make me feel serene? What can I do to quiet my own internal bullshit? And if I can keep it focused on what I can do and not condition it on what other people are doing to disappoint me, then I feel like I can have a pretty good day. If I don't do that, then I just lay awake all night and I just think about all the ways in which I have been wronged and want to wrong people back, and that's just, at this point, exhausting.
Vigilante.
You're right, the vigilante. And it's like, I guess it's my 40s or my middle age era is the era where I'm just trying to go to bed early and sleep through the night, and I just don't want to be irritated all the time. So I don't know. Don't do that. Don't have to be irritated all the time. That's my advice.
So what do you do just quick before we wrap up? Is there something in the middle of the day if you get irritated that you do to calm yourself?
I mean, there are things I should do.
Yoga.
Not yoga. It kind of depends on what it is, but my biggest issue is wanting to usually fire off an email quickly if somebody's irritating me, or react. And so what I try to do is pause and play it through. Okay, what happens? I send this email, and then it's going to feel good as I'm typing it. As soon as I hit the send button, I'm going to
feel better.
Then I'm going to start that, oh crap, and then I'm going to do the well, now I got to take responsibility, apologize. I don't want to do any of those things. So it's like playing it through, and then it sort of top level. Is this going to make my day better? Is this going to make the other person's day better? Or is it going to make my day worse and make the other person's day worse? Or, what problem am I solving? Is this going to solve a problem, or is it going to create another problem?
That's good. And
so if you focus on solutions, what's my goal? And then is this action going to get me closer or farther away from my goal? And if I can think of everything in those terms, it's great. Now, does that come naturally? No. Do I do it all the time? No. Do I do it perfectly? No. But I mean, that's... usually if I'm feeling some type of way, it's because there's something that I'm finding unacceptable to me. And so one, figuring out what that is, and then two, figuring out, okay, well, how can I learn to accept it? Not like it, but accept it.
That's good. And then if someone is wanting your counsel or your firm's counsel for custody, divorce, how would they reach out to you? What's the phone number? What's the website? What would be the first step?
Yeah, the website
to get help from you.
FamilyLawyerJax.com. Phone number is 904-619-1386. You can also reach out to us on our website, and we'll communicate that way. We actually do respond to website requests pretty quickly, and we're set up where we can talk to you on the phone, or we can talk to you electronically, because there's a fun generational divide. People my age or our age and younger hate to talk on the phone. We hate to talk on the phone. I hate to talk on the phone.
Me too.
But the next generation up, all they want to do is talk on the phone. So we were set up either way, whatever you like. We have offices on the south side, downtown, and now in Fernandina.
Okay, very nice.
I'm working on St. Augustine.
Good. So out the whole area.
In the whole area.
All right. So anything I forgot to ask you want to share on Feliciano Friends?
I think we've covered everything.
Okay. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.